Wow, I'm not quite sure what to make of it because, frankly, oh, you know what? I'm getting a call from the Coakley campaign.
Oh, why don't you take it and...
Do you mind?
No, go for it. Lisa.
All right,
and I can,
you guys go ahead.
Manage for a few minutes.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
I got to be honest, though, I'm completely distracted.
Like you just kind of want to go like this, and then we'll pass.
So here's the situation. So as Jim Armstrong just put this out there, about 15 minutes ago, some of the people working on Charlie Baker's team said that they would hear from him tonight, that this race was about to be called. And in fact, I think there's one news outlet out there who had already called it for Charlie Baker. As you look at the numbers right now, up 14,000 votes with about 8% of the precincts reporting. So they were expecting Charlie Baker to come out. Martha Coakley's people then come out, and we heard from Steve Kerrigan, the lieutenant governor candidate, saying that there are just too many votes still to be counted. And then he ended his speech with, "Have a good evening," as if suddenly people were going to leave the room, which has not happened. So we stand now with at least the possibility that we could hear from Charlie Baker without him first hearing of a concession.
Yeah, I mean, that is the great question mark right now. Although, you know, when Steve Kerrigan came down, one of the first things that he said to that crowd that had been waiting all night to hear from Martha Coakley was that it would be a long night, and then he corrected himself, and a long morning, which gave us reason to believe what Kate was hearing there in advance of his appearance, which was that there would be no concession speech tonight, and that they plan to make no announcement of any kind until tomorrow. So that does raise a question now. We're looking live. This is Martha Coakley's headquarters, where you do see the crowd has thinned somewhat. That ballroom was packed just a few minutes ago. Now people clearly resigned to the fact that they're not going to know for a while what's happening tonight. Our Jon Keller getting some information. We'll bring that to you when he gets back on set. But there is a sense of bewilderment, I think, probably in both camps right now.
Well, Jon Keller has now hung up the phone after talking.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, no,
it's a
this
little
is
unorthodox,
fantastic.
but I wanted to get the story. That was Doug Rubin, the senior advisor to the Coakley campaign. He says that the Coakley campaign believes that there are enough votes still outstanding to bring the margin within the 0.5% that legally allows for a recount. That would be approximately 12,000 votes. So in other words, if these remaining towns come in and whittle Baker's margin to less than 12,000 votes, that would trigger a recount. And the Coakley campaign would pursue that, or it certainly would strongly consider pursuing that under those circumstances. Rubin said that the campaign feels strongly that all the votes should be counted in some of the western Massachusetts towns that have not provided returns yet. The votes are being counted by hand. In other towns in central and eastern Massachusetts, they believe that there are enough potential Coakley votes to get the margin down into recount country. They are urging their supporters to go home and get some rest. He says the counting of these votes is likely not going to be concluded until somewhere around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. They might have an announcement at that time if the margin is outside that magic number, greater than that magic number of 12,000. If it is not, then there would be no announcement, or actually the next announcement that would be made would have to do with progressing to a recount. So that is the word straight from inside the Coakley campaign. That is why they're doing what they're doing. And we'll just have to see from here. Did either of you guys bring PJs tonight?